Hi, Gregg Bell, Dave Boling, Lambeau Field in Green Bay after really one of the worst butt kickings the Seahawks have had in the Pete Carroll era, the worst loss by margin of victory since 2010. That was Carroll's first season. 38-10, it really wasn't that close. 5 interceptions for Russell Wilson, the most by a Seahawks quarterback since 1999, John Kitna. The 6 turnovers after Alex Collins' fumble at the end. The only time the Seahawks have had more in a game, 7, was in 1995. This was an epic malfunction on both sides of the ball. Beyond the 5 interceptions, they gave Aaron Rodgers more time. I mean, you and I and our dog could have completed passes against the Seahawks defense with as much time as Aaron Rodgers had. Dave, this is December. This is a team that is about to win the NFC West, who had a number 2 seed in a playoff bye waiting for them. And to not show up like this, how concerning is that?
It's such an uncharacteristic game. So that in one sense you say, well, they never play like this. In another sense, why are they doing it now? Is that a symptom of a greater pathology? They have been up and they have been down and they've been awful on the road. Now, for what we have attributed them, their character and their personality as a team over the years has been to come on strong, to finish great, and to do to other teams what Green Bay did to them tonight. And so I think we really have to reevaluate who this 2016 Seahawks team is.
You're going to say, well, Russell Wilson's 3 of his interceptions were off receivers' hands, and that's true. Doug Baldwin, volleyball tapped, set up one. There was a pass off of Lockett's hands. There was a pass off Tremaine Pope's hands. But before that, he played 2 interceptions on decisions that were really bad into coverage. One here in the end zone to Jermaine Kearse, who was completely covered. One when Jimmy Graham fell down, getting his legs tied up with a Packers defender. Even when they were open receivers, Dave, he was throwing at their feet. He missed Doug Baldwin on the first drive. It would have been a touchdown on the deep ball. Jimmy Graham on the second drive. He was malfunctioning from the start. He has 8 interceptions in his last 3 games after 2 in his first 10. I guess we saw tonight what happens when your quarterback doesn't play well.
You know, and we've relied on him, and they have relied on him, and we have expected him to play at a marvelous level. And I just don't, I haven't sensed the magic dust that this guy has had. And what is ironic about that is, in some cases, he played better when he was healthy.
Yeah.
Than he has the last couple of games on the road, particularly. So now that he's back in in fighting form, so it's really a strange thing, and I think we really have to reconsider a lot of the things that we thought were this team's personality.
Incredibly, this team beat New England in Foxborough last month, and now they've laid 2 consecutive eggs on the road, which they're going to have to end up going on the road in the playoffs now that they've done that. Tampa Bay 14-5, 38-10 at Green Bay. They've punted away their number 2 seed in the NFC that they had. They could have clinched the NFC West today because Arizona lost. Dave, for maybe the only time an NFL player is looking forward to a short week and a Thursday night game against the
Everybody
Rams.
in the locker room said, yeah, okay, let's get after it again. We can forget this quickly. And maybe that's just the thing, because you know what? The Rams play them tough on a short week. That's going to be a tough game anyway. So maybe this is the thing that grabs them by the shoulders and shakes them. You guys have got to play better than you're doing now.
Rams are 4-9. One of those 4 wins against the Seahawks, a 9-3 victory in September. In the locker room after the game, KJ Wright said, hey, it was kind of embarrassing, and he was understating it on purpose. He also said that Pete Carroll addressed the team with just that, saying we got a game on Thursday. Will be a test of us to see how quickly we can put this behind us as a team. Michael Bennett was saying in a television interview we overheard it, hey, it doesn't matter how you get to the Super Bowl, and you'll forget about this if we win 3 more games. It's a lot harder.
I rolled my eyes when I heard that, because they're not going anywhere with a game like this.
This ensures that they will be on the road to the playoffs at some point. They can still get the number 2 seed, although they're a half game behind Detroit for that right now. They're only a half game up on Atlanta for the 3 seed. If you get a 4 seed, you're playing on the first weekend of the playoffs against a wild card team, and then you're on the road for round 2. And I say this again, the only time the Seahawks have made the Super Bowl 3 times in their franchise history, all 3 times with home field advantage through the playoffs. What do you think this team is Super Bowl caliber, just not playing consistently at it?
No, not right now. I don't. I just think they're not smart. They're not consistent. All the things that they have been when they've been great, they haven't shown in the last couple of weeks. And you may say there will be the temptation. Well, Earl Thomas isn't there. Sure, it's a factor. Or it was the weather, and you're on the road, and Green Bay had more to play for, whatever. They just got pushed around. It was physical. It was emotional. It was Manly, they got beaten, and they couldn't stop it. And that's an interesting thing, you know. Once it was the snowball was rolling downhill, they couldn't stop it, and they've got a lot of talent, and there's a lot of things they can do, and we've seen what they can do. Couldn't pull any of it together tonight.
This Packers team was 4-6 2 weeks ago, written off by everyone. They were 6-6 coming into this game, so this is not one of the upper echelon teams, though it has upper echelon talent. Speaking of which, Aaron Rodgers, yes, he outplayed by a mile Russell Wilson, but let's not let the defense off the hook here. The plan was to go with a four-man pass rush. That failed. Pete Carroll, when I asked him why so many four-man pass rush and no blitzing, he said he thought the edge rushers, particularly Cassius Marsh on third down with Cliff Averill, could crash the outside and force Rodgers to throw the ball more quickly, and then they would not have to devote blitzes to pressure the quarterback. Well, that didn't work because Rodgers was able to move around and get the extra time he needed. The four-man pass rush failed, and Jeremy Lane told me it's kind of hard to cover guys for 15 seconds, which is a little exaggeration, but not much. He was beaten on the first touchdown because of that very reason. Another touchdown in the opposite end zone for the same thing, having to cover that long. Earl Thomas isn't going to affect that. He wasn't going to change the game plan for Chris Richard to a four-man pass rush. He wasn't going to rush the quarterback. So he was not that big of a factor in that regard. Can this team be a number one defensive team without him?
I'm not saying anything. I told you I'm going to have to reevaluate everything that I have held.
You and me and everybody else.
About this team. A couple good things. Tom Sorrells look really good.